This conference will now be recorded.
Hello everyone, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Let us start today's session. So yesterday we have done with user administration. Today we are going to work with group administration first. So when we talk about groups, as I told you yesterday also, groups are nothing but collection of users. When you have different teams and different departments, so people who works for different projects, different teams or different departments, you can club them into one group. Segregation of users will become simple, and moreover, file exchange between those two users would be simple, right? That's the reason why we prefer going with groups. And there are two types of group: primary group and a secondary group. See, primary group is my main personal group. Whenever you create a user, automatically one group will be created with the same name. That would be user's private personal group. Now, with respect to my private personal group, I would also have other groups in which I will participate. Now, those groups will be called as secondary groups or alternate groups, right? Those groups sometimes I'll be using, I'll not be using, but those will be my secondary group. For example, we live in a joint family. Maybe I have my own car or bike. So whenever I need, I use my car. That's my personal car. But sometimes when I need to go a little long, I have my cousin's car, which is more sophisticated for long journey. So I'll take it from him sometimes. But that's not my car, isn't it? So such a way, I will also have my personal group. But with respect to my group, I may be participating in several other groups. Those will be called as alternate or secondary groups. Okay. So primary group information you can find directly in etc password file only, right? So let me just log in first of all. You see, if you check out in etc password file, you'll find here that my user, it is having some user ID and group ID. So the group ID, what you see here is nothing but primary group ID. Primary group is always only one. Secondary groups can be many. Let's say that we have many departments in our organization. So as a manager, I need to look out into several departments, but my main domain is, for example, IT. So with respect to IT or support, I will be looking into many other department. So one will be the primary group, and rest of all groups, whatever in which I will be participating, will be called as secondary group. So a user will participate in at least one group, which is called as primary group. Now, with respect to primary group, a user can participate in hundreds of other groups. Those will be called as secondary or alternate groups. Okay, so where all the group informations are kept. So all the group information is kept in a file etc group. When you go to this file, it displays all the group name, including one group guys called my user. So just now we saw that my user is a user, right? With a user ID 1000 and the group ID is 1000. Now this 1000 group ID belongs to which group? my user. Now, what is this? This is called users private group scheme. See, according to this, a user, when it is created, automatically at the same time, there will be a group created. You create a user and automatically it will create a group for you, right?
Hello.
So, yes, Hamid.
Yes, I actually want to ask this question. This group and user in this one that we are creating, is it is different from the one that we use in logging in? This group and users, are they for you? If we have like a Active Directory, creating user to log in into a system, is it the same type of user we're creating with all this or no?
See, users are same, but when you talk about Active Directory, those are called as centralized logged in user. See, if you have 300 machines, creating users and password with same name on 300 machine would be difficult. So what we do, we take help of this centralized concept like Active Directory or LDAP. So when you create a user over there, automatically the same user will be allowed to work on all 100, 300 machines. So users are same whether you create it on Active Directory or you create it here. But what user I'm creating here will only work in this machine. But when we create a username and password in Active Directory or LDAP, it works across entire environment of yours.
So this is just gonna work in the Linux environment, the one we create.
This is going to work only in this machine,
Okay, in this machine. Okay.
right? So as I was telling you that there is a scheme which is called as Linux private group scheme. According to that, when you create a user, automatically for that user, same name group will also be created. So whenever I'm creating a user with the name my user, same name group will be automatically created, and that would be my primary main personal group. For instance, let's say I'm going to create a user called U1. Now you observe that I have created a user with a name called U1. User ID is 1001 and group ID is 1001. Now, this is not necessary that always the user ID and group ID will be same. There are scenarios where group ID might be different. If that number 1001 is already taken, the group ID might come 1002 or 1003, something like that. So it is not mandatory that when you create a user, the primary group ID will also be same. Most of the cases it is same, but in few cases it might not be same. So I'll go for etc group now. So you see same name group is also created. I'll create two more users. I'll say user add u2 and user add u3. Now you see when we go for etc password, you'll find two users created. And if you go to etc group, you'll find that same name group is also created. So this is called Unix private group scheme. According to this, when you create a user, automatically with the same name, a group is also created. Okay, all right. Now, if you want, you can create a separate group and later on you can decide whether to make it someone's primary group or you want to keep it as a secondary group. But how we are going to deal with group? Simple three commands are there, guys. Group add, group mod, and group del. Group add for adding the user, group mod for modifying the user, and group del for deleting a user. So if I say group add, and I want to add a group with a name called my uh, group, for example. Now you just check it out, tail etc group. You'll find that my group is created by using some default group ID. Now let us say that I would like to add one more group, but this group I want to give my choice ID. I don't want it to take an ID automatically on its own. I want to give some ID with my choice while creating a group. To create a group and assign ID of your choice, you can say group add -g, where G stands for group ID. What ID would you like to give? For example, I would like to give an ID 1050. My choice, whatever I want, I can give. Or maybe I want to give 1101, for example, right? Now, which group you want to create? I'm going to create a group with the name called SAP GRP. Now, if you just check it out, you'll find that SAP GRP is added with your choice group ID. So group add -g will allow you to give an ID. Now we need to make sure that the number what we are giving is not already used. If that number is already taken by any group, command will fail. Or if this name is already taken by someone, command will fail, right? So group ID and the name must be unique. All right. Now, if you want, you can make this group a primary group or secondary group as per your choice. But before that, maybe I want to modify this group. I want to change something. You can change the name of the group, or you can change the group ID, whatever you want. To modify the group, we go with a command group mod. So group mod will allow you to change the name of the group. For instance, you want to change the name, you can say group mod -n, whatever new name you want, you can give for an existing group, right? Or you can also change group ID of the group, right? So how can I change the group ID? You have to use group mod -g. I'm going to change two things. See, my group is the name what I have given. I would like to change the name to my GRP. And the ID is 1004. Maybe I want to make it 1102. So two things I want to modify. I'll say group mod. First of all, I would like to change the name to my GRP. And also, I would like to change the group ID to 1102, right? Or if you want to individually do it, maybe I want to see ID is same or not after name change. For which group, I want to modify the name for my group. Now you just go with tail etc group. See, earlier it was my group for 1004. Now it is my GRP for 1004. Now if you want to change the ID, you have to say group mod, change the group ID to 1102. For which group? My GRP. Last time the name was my group, which I now changed to my GRP. Now just look into it, you see my GRP group ID is changed. So this is the way, guys, how we have to modify the group also. Now guys, if you want to make it as a primary group for someone, for example, if you look out in etc password, I have a user called U2. Now for U2, the primary group is U2 only. What I want is my GRP should be the primary group for U2. See, for any user, if you want to change the primary group, yesterday we saw user add or user mod. There was an option small g. Capital G will change a secondary group, and small g will make any group as a primary group. So I'll say user mod hyphen small g. I want to make my GRP as a primary group for U2. If you just check it out, you'll find that U2 primary group is 1102. Now, who is that 1102? If you look out into group, 1102 is nothing but my GRP. So this is the way how you can change the primary group for any user. But mostly, guys, even in the working environments, you'll see that we are never going to change the primary groups. Primary groups will be always same. So let me again change U2 group as a primary group for U2 user, right? So sorry, tail etc password. You see U2 1002 user ID and 1002 group ID. Now, if you want to make a group as a secondary group for one user or multiple users, then how we can add, remove members into the group. See, you can go with user mod hyphen capital G, but suppose I want to add 10 members, remove 3 members, and all these activities of group administration, then individual user mod command may not be a helpful affair. So in this scenario, to manage group administrations perfectly, we have a command called gpassword. Gpassword, option, arguments, and group name. What are the options? Hyphen capital M to add multiple group members. Hyphen small a to add a single user into the group. Capital A to make a member as a group administrator. D to remove a member from the group. See, administrator is same like your WhatsApp group admin who can add, remove members into the group, right? Same thing. So let us say that I want to add 3 members. The command goes like this: gpassword hyphen capital M, then first user, comma second user, comma third user, followed by group name. For example, guys, let us say that I have a group called my GRP. In my GRP, I want to add my user, U1, U2, 3 members. How to add? I'll say G password hyphen capital M, and I'll say add my user, comma U1, comma U2. In which group? The group name is my GRP. Now, if you go to tail etc group, you'll find that my GRP has 3 members inside it. So this is the way you can add members into the group. Now let us say that I don't want to add multiple members. I just want to add a single member U3 into that group. To add only one member with gpassword, you can go with gpassword hyphen small a, or you can use user mod hyphen capital G. So individually one user can be added into a group. Anyway, I'll say gpassword hyphen small a. I want to add U3 in my GRP. Now, if you just check it out, you'll find that U3 is successfully added into my GRP. Okay, all right. Now let us say that you want to remove members. You can remove multiple members or you can remove a single member. I just want to remove one member from the group, that is U3. To remove a member from the group, you can go with gpassword hyphen D, and I want to remove U3 from my GRP. Now, if you just check it out, you'll find that U3 has been removed. So this is the way how you can add, remove members from the group or in the group. Now, moving ahead, let us say that I want to make one member as a group admin. See, I don't want to control the group administration as a root always. So I want to make one member of the group as a group admin who can add members whenever required or who can remove members whenever required. So if you want to add or remove members into the group, or you want to make a member as a group admin, I'm sorry. First of all, how can I know, is there already an admin available for the group? See, there is a file what you have to refer, that is etc gshadow. Now when you go to etc gshadow, it tells you is there any group admin available or not. For example, here you can see my grp and no password, and there is an empty field. Normally guys, we have a file etc shadow. etc shadow will keep what? User's password. etc shadow will keep what? Group password. Long back, there used to be a concept for group password, but now there is no group password concept available, right? But instead of that group password, we are having group admin information stored over here, right? So you see there is an empty field. That empty field is nothing but group administrator field. So there is no group administrator for this group. Now let me log in as my user. Let me give a password. And if I say group or G password, I want to add a member U3 in my GRP. See, it says permission denied. Why? Because this member is just an ordinary member. He does not have admin rights to add remove member into the group. Now, as soon as I make my user as admin, automatically he will be allowed to add remove member into the group. So I'll go back and I'll say gpassword add a member or make a member as an admin. Which member? My user. For which group? My grp. Now, if you just check it out, etc gshadow, you see in the admin field, there is a name available called my user, and then rest of the usernames are printed. Now, as soon as this guy become admin, you see he will be able to add the member, right? Now, if you just check it out, tail etc group, he is able to add the member, or in fact, he can remove any member. For example, I want to remove you two from which group? My GRP. So this is the way how we can make a member as a group admin. Now, same member can be participating in SAP GRP also. There is no problem. One fellow can participate in multiple groups. There is no problem. Secondary groups can be many, but primary group is only one. So at a time, a user can be part of only one primary group, but at a time, a user can be a part of many secondary group as required. Now, lastly, let us say that I would like to delete a group. Maybe my work is over and I just don't want these group to exist. So I want to delete that group. See guys, what happens when you delete a group? See, when you delete a group, first of all, the group will remove all the members from it. It becomes empty, and finally the group will be deleted. If I delete the member, if I delete the group, automatically first the groups inside it will be removed, the users inside it will be removed, and finally the group will be deleted. You see, when I run the command group del, and the group I want to destroy is my grp. Now when I hit enter, go with tail etc group, you see it has first removed the members from the group and finally the group is deleted. So users are not permanently deleted from the system. The only thing is these users has been removed from the group. They lost their secondary group, right? And finally the group got deleted. So simple commands were there: group add, group mod, group del, and uh, gpassword. On these four commands, the entire group administration will be relying, right? So it's a simple administration, guys. There is no big deal to deal with groups and all. Now let's move forward and let us try to work with our next advanced concept, that is controlling access to the file. So in this chapter, there are two options. One is special permission or advanced permission, and the second one is access control list. So today we are going to cover up special permissions or advanced permissions, right? So when we talk about this special or advanced permission, there are three special permissions what we are going to learn. SUID stands for set user ID. SGID stands for set group ID. And the third one is sticky bit, right? Normally, guys, on a file, you can apply three permissions: read, write, execute, right? So on the same three levels, right? Like whenever you are applying the permission, you can apply permission for users, read, write, execute, group, read, write, execute, others, read, write, execute. So for the owner, one set of permission, for the group, one set of permission, and others, one set of permission. So on the same three layers, that is users, groups, and others, you can apply three layer of permission. For user, you can apply set UID. For groups, you can apply set GID, and for others, you can apply sticky bit, right? So three layers, three normal permissions, and three special permissions. U, G, O will have SUID, SGID, and sticky bit also. See, set UID is represented by small s or capital S. Set GID is also represented by small s or capital S, whereas sticky bit is represented with small t or capital T. And the number what we are going to use here is 4, 2, and 1, right? Where 4 represents set UID, 2 represents set GID, and 1 represents sticky bit. How am I going to apply these permission? To apply this permission, you have to go with chmod u plus s, or you can say chmod 4. 4 is the set UID number, followed by whatever regular permission you want, 766, 744, whatever might be the numbers you are interested in. Then for setgid, you can go with chmod g plus s, or numerically you can go for chmod 2, followed by whatever regular permissions you want to assign. And for sticky bit, you can go for chmod o plus t, or numerically you can chmod 1, followed by whatever regular permissions you want to apply. Okay, now let us try to understand that what exactly the setuid, setgid, and stickybit will do and where we have to apply them. So first of all, let us start by talking setuid. Now guys, when we talk about setuid, setuid has an important role on executable file or special executable files like commands. See guys, commands are nothing but special executable scripts or special executable files. Now, when we deal with that special executable file, there is some rule to run that special executable file. See, a normal script is also an executable file, but the commands are special executable files, right? So anyway, now what is that rule? See guys, for example, I have a command called password. For example, let me just take a pen. Okay, so I have a command called password command. So you know guys, what is the role of password command? Password command will update the password in a file etc shadow. Now guys, when we did user admin class yesterday, I told you and I showed you that etc shadow does not have any permission. If you just run ls-l etc shadow, you see it does not have any permission. Owner is root, group owner is root. So root has power. Root can edit such file and update the password. There is no problem with that. So as the root, the owner of this file is root. The group ID for root is what? 0, right? So root is running password command and updating shadow file. This is understandable. But guys, there is one more user in my system, U2, whose ID is, for example, 1002. Now U2 is an ordinary user, normal user. Now U2 is running password command and updating shadow file. See, a normal user is allowed to change the password, yes or no? So when U2 is running password command, it is asking current password, then 2 times you are typing a new password and it is updating shadow, right? But my question here is, when shadow file does not have any permission, how is it possible that U2 is editing a special file which does not have any permission? Root is updating the file, that is understood because root is super user and root is also owner of this particular file. But how come a normal user is running password command and updating the shadow file? Now here comes the rule of SGID. See, on a file, when you have, sorry, SUID, not SGID, I'm really sorry about my words. So here comes the role of SUID. See, what happens is on a file, if SUID is applied, at the time of execution, when guys, at the time of execution, when you are executing the command, temporarily non-owner's ID will be changed to owner's ID. So for a small period of time, U2 user ID will become 0. As it becomes 0, he become owner of the command. As he become owner, he is allowed to open the file, edit the file, whatever it might be, because owner can do anything in his file, right? So this is what the scenario is going on. Password command is having SUID, and whenever we are executing password command, non-owner's ID is getting converted into owner's ID for a small fraction of second till he update the password. So it can be U2, U3, U4, my user, or any other user in the system. Whenever these users are trying to change their password, their user ID is temporarily getting changed with 0. So as they become 0, they are getting power. With that power, they are able to update the password in shadow file. Now let me show you how to find out whether a command is having setuid is applied or not, or any file is having setuid applied or not. Now here I need to check where is my password command kept. To know the location of any command in the system, we uses a command called which. I'll say which password. Now, when you run which or any command, not only password, you can say which ls, which cp, which lvs, which pv display, whatever command. When you run which with a command, it shows you the location of the command. So you see the location of the command is usr bin password. Now, if you just check it out, ls-l usr bin password. Now, when you check that out, you see over here there are permissions applied. Did you observe first three permission? R, W, S. It is not showing X, but it is showing what? S. So guys, if you see in first three permission, R, W, S. This S is nothing but SUID plus execute permission. So S over there represents what? SetUID is applied. Now, because in this password command, SetUID is applied, all users are able to update shadow file. Why? Because as a root, they are trying to do that activity. Their user ID is getting converted to zero. That zero is making them owner, giving them power to update the shadow file. It's like, guys, I have to go somewhere. I don't have a car or bike. So what I'm doing, I'm borrowing my friend's car or bike. I'm using it and returning it. So by using it, I'm doing my work, and after my work is over, I'm returning. So same way, U1, U2, U3, they don't have power to update shadow file. So they are getting that power from SUID. By taking root or owner's ID, they are updating the shadow file. So that is what. So in the first field, if you see RWS, that means SetUID is applied. Same way, guys, in the second field also, if you see RWS, second set of permission, that means SGID is applied. And lastly, if you see RWT, that means sticky bit is applied. Like that, by seeing the file permission, you can tell SetUID, SetGID, or sticky bit is applied or not. First three permissions are user. So in that, if you see S, set UID. Second three permission belongs to whom? Group. In that, if you see S, that is set GID. Last three permission is for whom? Others. So in that, if you see T, that means sticky bit plus execute permission is applied. Okay. All right. So what happens if I remove that setUID? Let us find out. Let me first change the password for U2 and let me log in as U2 user. Who am I? U2. Now you see, guys, as of now on the password command, there is setUID applied. Now as setUID is applied, everyone is allowed to change their password. But if I remove it, how to apply? You have to say chmod u plus s and the file name. But guys, am I applying permission? No, I'm removing. So I need to say u minus s to apply setuid or remove setuid u plus s, u minus s. Now if I check ls-l, you see the permission is rwx, right? Execute permission, but it does not have S permission, that is the special permission setuid. Now let me go back to U2, and as U2, I'll try to change my password. Let's say I'll give my current password, new password, I'll type perfectly without any errors. See, it is asking me to repeat the password. So I'll say redhat@391 one more time. Two times I have typed the password correctly. And now you see, what does it says? It says authentication token manipulation error. It is not telling me that password was incorrect. It is not telling me that password does not match or any complexity requirement. It says there is an error. I am not able to update my password in shadow file. Why I'm not able to update? Because as U1 or U2, I'm trying to edit shadow file. Shadow file does not have any permission. I'm not able to update. So guys, if setuid is not applied on password command, then no user in the system will be allowed to change their password except root. Only root can change the passwords, and normal users will not be allowed to change their own password, right? So I don't want this. I want people to change their password. So I'll go with chmod u plus s. For which file? usr bin password. And now you just check it out. It is having read write setuid. As soon as setuid is applied, let me again try password command. Current password is red. New, I'll give redhat at the rate 391. One more time, redhat at the rate 391. You see immediately it says all tokens are updated successfully. So there are many commands in the system which are dependent on setuid. And sometimes guys, few organizations create their own custom based commands. Custom based commands means they'll create command for their usage as per their environment requirement. Now if you want that command to work for all users in the system, then you have to apply setuid on that particular file. Earlier, even ping command does not used to work for everyone if setuid is not there. But now ping is a basic command, so they removed from that special group. Now password command and few other commands are there which badly depends on setuid. If you remove setuid, only owners can execute them. Non-owners will not be allowed to execute those special commands. So usually setuid has a role when you are executing important commands, right? Okay, now what's the role of sgid? See, similar to SUID. In SUID, what happens is at the time of execution, non-owner's user ID is getting replaced with owner's ID. Same way, SGID also works the same way. At the time of execution, non-group member's ID will be converted to your file group ID. Suppose I have a file and that file belongs to my GRP. Now a member from SAP GRP is trying to execute a file which belongs to my GRP. So temporarily that member's group ID will be changed from SAP GRP to my GRP and the file may get executed. But guys, setgid, I have not seen that it works for this purpose, changing the group ID. But I have seen a real importance of sgid. I'll tell you that in which scenario sgid plays a very pivotal role. So you see, suppose I have a directory. Now the directory name, for example, is SAP. Maybe it is related to an application, SAP. Now the owner of this directory is root and the group owner is a group called SAP GRP. So that guys, everyone can access it, we have given full permission. Let us say that this directory is having full access, read, write, execute for everyone. Now let us say that there is a member called U2. Now U2 comes to your file and creates one file. It comes to our directory and create one file. Normally guys, when anyone creates a file, for example, I have U2. Now U2 creates one file, touch F1. You see, automatically it takes that the owner of the file is U2 and group owner is U2. That's the normal behavior, nothing important. Whoever creates the file, he becomes owner of the file and his group will become group owner of the file. That's very simple and common criteria. But here the requirement changes. See, let us say that our group, our team is telling that when in this directory people come and create a file or any data, maybe file, maybe directory. Now this file should belong to real owner, we don't mind. But all the files that are getting created in this directory should belong to a group called SAP GRP. So my requirement is whoever comes to our directory, when they create any data, that data should automatically belong to a group called SAP GRP. It should not take group owner of the file as a real group owner, whoever it might be, to whichever group they might belongs to. But when they come to my directory and create the data, that data should belong to SAP GRP. Now, how can I achieve this criteria? See, to achieve this criteria, you should sit changing the group manually by using a command chgrp. When you run this command, it changes the group of the file. So every time someone create a file, you have to change the group. Every time someone create a directory, you should change the group. But guys, is it feasible that every time someone create a file, I should go and change the group manually? So is it possible on production environment, something like that? No. So in that scenario, you can make use of SGID. I have really seen the use of this well uh, ahead, guys. Lots of time these requirements might come. So we should know that how we can achieve this criteria. So with the help of SGID, when anyone comes to your directory and create the file, automatically all the files getting created inside our directory will belong to SAP GRP. Simple criteria is there. Whoever it might be, whichever group it might belongs to, when they create some data in our directory, it should be SAP GRP as a group owner. So let me practically create that scenario and show you. So first of all, I'll create a directory with the name called SAP. Now I want full permission, so let me give 777. So scenario is you have a directory with the name called SAP whose owner is root and group owner is also root, right? And full permissions is there. Now, according to our scenario, the group ownership should be given to SAP GRP. Let me see, do I have SAP GRP group or I have to create it first? So as you see, SAP GRP is there. We created sometime earlier. So we don't have to create it again. It's already there. I can make SAP GRP as a group owner to my directory. How can I change the group owner? To change the group owner of any directory, you have to go with chgrp. To change the owner, you can use chown. To change the group, you have to say chgrp. So I'm not changing the owner, let the owner be root, but in place of root as a group, I want to make SAP GRP as a group owner for SAP. Now you see the scenario is ready. We have a directory SAP who is belonging to root user and the group owner is SAP GRP, right? Now let us ask U2, who am I U2? Let us U2 go into SAP and inside it, let him create some data F1, F2, F3. You see it is behaving normally. It is taking U2 as a owner, U2 as a group owner. All the three files are behaving normally. Let me come back to root user and let me apply setgid. How to apply setgid? You have to say chmod G plus S. So on group level, I want to apply SGID. Last time we used U plus S for setuid. For group ID, G plus S. For sticky bit, O plus T. So SUID for users, SGID for groups, and sticky bit for others. On which directory? SAP. Now if you run ls-ld, you see in group level permissions, it is RWS. That means set GID has been applied, right? Okay, now after set GID is applied, let me add more data. I'll say touch F4, F5, F6, F7, for example. Now if I do ls-l after applying setgid, you see all the files creating now are belonging to which group? SAP-GRP. So whoever it might be, it is U1 user, U2 user, or my user, when they come to this particular file, these files will belong to SAP-GRP. Why? Because SAP-GRP is a group owner of this directory. So with this, the application group will become group owner of all the files in this directory. Maybe it is required for that application to be group owner of all the file. So that result we can give it with this. Now I don't have to sit manually change the group every time. Automatically, whenever files are getting created, they are going to belong to SAP GRP. So that's how it is going to work out. All right. So this is an important scenario that is related to SAP GRP, and you might come across this kind of scenarios. But guys, to achieve this scenario, you have called up one delegation issue. What is that? If you just check it out, you have given full permission, full delegation. Now, guys, if you have given full permission, don't you think it can be misused? It can be. For example, let me log in as one more user called my user. Who am I? My user. Now, let me go to SAP. See, all the file belongs to whom? You two. None of the file belongs to my user. All the files are belonging to whom? It is belonging to you two. Now my user is not a owner. My user is not at all a group member. But because the directory is having full permission, this guy can update the files, modify the files, and even dangerously, this fellow can delete the files. For example, I can say rm-f, f1, f2, f7. So did you see, guys, a passerby just came, watched the files, and destroyed it. Where is security? Because you have given full access on the directory, this is what the result is coming. Anyone can come and play with someone else's data. Do you want the security to be like that? I don't think so. But guys, let us say that your application team is adamant. They are telling that no, we need full access. You cannot remove full access from the directory. So they need full permission, but at the same time, they want us to protect their data. So at one time, you are giving full access, and on the other time, you are telling don't allow them to delete the data. What can I do in that scenario? See, in this scenario, the role of sticky bit comes into the picture. See, on a directory, when you apply sticky bit, the data inside that directory can only be deleted by real owner of that file. Other people might come and see the content, but they will not be allowed to delete the files inside the directory, even though the directory is having full permissions. So let me apply sticky bit and show you practically. I'll say chmod O plus T, U plus S, G plus S, and O plus T. On which directory? SAP. Now you just check it out. RW T. T represents what? Sticky bit. Now let me go back to my user. Who am I? My user. All the files belongs to you2. My user is not the owner of a single file here. But if he says now rm-f f3, is it deleting f4 or all the files? Is he allowed to delete all the files or even a single file? No, because he's not the owner of that particular file. But if this user wants, he can create his file m1, m2, m3. And you see, all these file belongs to whom? My user. Now he can do anything with his file. He can say rm-f m1, getting deleted. But if we say rm-f f4, it says no, you are not allowed to delete others' data. Same thing is possible with u2. Now you see, u2 is owner of f3 to f6 file. If we say remove f3, it is getting removed. But if we say remove M2 or M3, it says it is not permitted. So U2 can delete his data, M3 can delete his data. So like that, we can make sure that sticky bit protects the data inside the directory, not to be get deleted by non-owners or other fellows. So you see, mostly whenever we apply SGID on the directory, we also try to put sticky bit so that full permission is there, but still data should not be deleted by other fellows, right? So this is the role of SUID, SGID, and sticky bit. Now guys, one very important thing which I want you to fix in your mind very clearly, crystal clear like whistle, right? And if you stick to that, you will never be confused about SUID, SGID, and sticky bit. What is that? See guys, you can apply three special permission. Oh, I'm sorry, let me get a pen. I'm sorry. SUID, SGID, and sticky bit. These are the three permissions what you can apply. Now you can apply them on a file or you can apply them on a directory. Now this thing you have to understand that not everything works on file and not everything works on a directory. So what I'm trying to say over here, see guys, SUID only works with file. On a directory, it has no role. Why? See guys, SUID works on commands, special executable scripts I told you. File can be a script. Directory can never be a script, guys. So directory is not an executable script where SUID can work. So SUID has only rules on file. And same way, SGID works on both places. See, if you apply SGID on a file, at the time of execution of that file, non-group member's ID will be changed to the ID of that group which is assigned to that file. So at the time of execution, group IDs will be exchanged. But when it comes to directory, we just saw that on a directory, if you apply SGID, then whatever files that are getting created inside it will belong to a group which is assigned on the directory. So SGID has a rule on a file also, and SGID has a rule on directory also. Now here is the most surprising thing, that sticky bit cannot protect individual file. So if you apply sticky bit on a file, it is not going to do anything. Suppose you have a file and you have given some permission and you have applied sticky bit. You log in as other user, try to remove the file, it will get removed because sticky bit cannot protect individual file. It can protect the content inside the directory only. So you should take a directory, give full permission or all permission, then apply sticky bit. The data inside it will be protected. But directly on a file, if you apply sticky bit, it has no role. So SUID works only with file, sticky bit works only with directory, but SGID is neutral fellow. It works with files also, it works with directory also. I hope this concept is clear, guys, and you remember this rule well. If you forgot this rule, then you do mistakes and maybe you won't get the result you are looking for. Right? So that is it, guys, for today's session. If you have any questions or queries, you can put your questions now. I don't know why other people did not join the classes today, even though I messaged them. Well, we have recording, so they might see that. Any questions, guys, related to today's topic? Anything you haven't understood or you want me to?
Thank you. Thanks. I'll still go through the video again. Yeah, I'll let you know.
Yes, okay. Manoj, you said something. I think I missed.
No, no, nothing, nothing. That's
Okay,
it.
okay, great. So please do practice this stuff well. You never knows when these situations might come across and you need to give a solution. Now we have one more or two more concepts remaining which are related to each other. I usually take it on same day so that you can understand it better. So tomorrow we will see uh, ACL, Access Control List, and another very important chapter, sudo. Now these two chapters are the backbone for user administration. Every organization requires these concepts, right? So for today we will stop here and let's meet up tomorrow and continue with our next chapter. Thank you very much, guys.